earlier. But what year, if you could put a year on it, what year did West Coast hip hop start, in your opinion?
Man, I'm gonna have to say 1977. Me and Kelvin Anderson had this conversation last week. Because in 1977, well, 1974, when they said it started in New York, we was deeply engulfed in R&B down here. We was deep. They ain't talked about the disco era. The 70s, most of the 70s was disco till about 78, 79, but we were starting to get some other stuff. Okay, and we ain't had no hits yet. We didn't get our first hit to Sugar Hill Gang, as far as I know. Okay, we didn't get our first hit to Sugar Hill Gang, but we were on the path to hip hop by this time. The reason why I say 77, I got to say 77 because in 1977 is when me and Roger Clayton from Uncle Jam's Army, at that time they were Unique Dreams Entertainment, started doing the Alpine Village. And I think if Kool Herc can get credit for doing his this party at 1520 Cedric, I think because me and Roger and Unknown are the only ones that started in the dance era and kept rolling to the hip hop era. So I'm gonna say 1977 was the birth of hip hop for us because we were the innovators. We were the innovators of all that shit. So yeah, we were doing dances, we were DJing. We were one of the first ones to start just doing dances straight with DJs. You know, I was overlapping. I would take Richard Pryor, his comedy album, Wanted, what the nigga wanted, something like that. And he had one of his skits about being in the pool, drowning and shit. Edge, get me to the edge. And I'm playing that shit over Parliament Funkadelic. Parliament Funkadelic, Aqua Boogie. So I'm starting to do my little mix tricks right then and there at that time. Now, it might not mean shit to nobody right now, but again, that's when we wasn't scratching initially. We wasn't doing a lot of blending. We were just doing overlays to try and keep the crowd going. Because again, our motivation was different. We were just trying to have a good time. And to hear Richard Pryor or Red Fox or anybody else being overlaid in the intro or outro of the song, and that was some crazy shit for the people to hear that shit. And we was doing that back in 1977.
Okay. The crowd, the chat has some great questions. Keep them coming. I'm copying and pasting all of them, and we're definitely going to get to them. But someone has a question. Art Chavez, Lonzo, did you meet Roger Clayton first or Disco Daddy?
Roger. I didn't meet Disco Daddy till later on. I heard about Disco Daddy. Disco Daddy played in the club Showcase. The club was called the Showcase on Adams. My brother used to go to the Showcase all the time. I never went to the Showcase. When I heard about the Showcase, it was a little small club and folks being there part. My brother got around a lot more than I did back in the day. I was doing other shit. He told me about Disco Daddy, and I ain't had to worry. I didn't big nothing about him. Shit. Probably shortly after that, I got to Eve After Dark, and Disco Daddy was not around no more. But I definitely met Roger Clayton first.
Going back to the interview, great interview on the Dr. Green Thumb show with Be Real. You mentioned a story that I don't think you've ever told on this platform. Maybe you did, I just missed it. But you mentioned that Greg Mack fired you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Talk to us about that.
Wrecking Crew was the hottest dudes we were the hottest cats in Los Angeles, man. Again, I've always been an innovator. I hate to blow my horn, but toot, motherfucker. I've always been an innovator. And because I had my own studio, I got 1200s, I got turntables, I got two of the hottest DJs, and I got relationships with other radio stations. So when we started doing the traffic jam for Greg Mack at K-Day, Kevin Fleming, rest his soul, hey man, I pay you guys $100 a week to do it over here. Okay? And I took the deal. But he never said our name. He never said nothing. But Greg knew by the style that it was us. I tried to play past it. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go. I need to have an exclusive. Okay, fine. But that time he had found Tony G and Julio, so they started doing his mixes and maybe even Battle Cat by then. I'm not sure. But by that time, shortly after that, Wrecking Crew blew up. We didn't have time to do it no way.
Okay, so Greg fired you.
Yeah, it was a friendly fire, but
Okay.
we still laugh about the shit today.
Where does Battle Cat come into the equation when it comes to the early days of West Coast hip hop?
Battle Cat came in, man. When he was with me, he was like 17. Battle Cat came in right after Dre and them left. When Dre left, in fact, Battle Cat tells a story. Dre was getting stuff out the studio, and Battle Cat was back here, and he was like, "Hey, man," he told Dre, "Hey, man, I ain't trying to replace you." He said, "No, man, it's time for me to move on. I got to do." It was a real cool transition. And Battle Cat had some questions about some stuff, and Dre helped him with it. It was Battle Cat was like 17 years old, man.
All right. We're halfway through the show, so I'm going to remind everybody to hit that like button if you haven't already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, you are tuned in to N.W.A. Stories with Lonzo. Please hit that subscribe button. That is Alonzo Williams, the godfather of West Coast hip hop. You may have recently heard him on the Dr. Green Thumb show with B Real. So if this is your first time joining the channel, go down the rabbit hole of the great videos we have right here on this platform. Let's see here. Marlon Cozy, shout out Marlon, says, "Yo, Unc, knowing that Kraftwerk was your influence, what was your first reaction to hearing them?"
I thought it was the shit when I first heard it. We never heard none of that before. We never heard anything like that before. It was like, what the fuck? Do 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 do. And the ticks and the clicks and shit. They turn a little click track into a damn instrument. And look, clicking, we duplicated the shit out of that clicking on some of our songs, man. And then they had the vocoder, Tour de France, come on, man. We had never heard that shit before. And I had to go out and find everything they did to make them songs so we could do something like that for us. And that's how we got our vocoder sound for Juice and a couple other songs. And even we got that little clicking sound in a few songs too, because that shit was very influential for us.
Kraftwerk, man. I remember when this actually leads into my next question, but I remember when Turbo did the broom dance and break into Tour de France, and I was like, oh my God, that's the greatest song I've ever heard up until that time. But Jesse Garcia has a question. He says, how about the making of Breaking? Did you ever go around East LA while filming? Did Boogaloo Shrimp ever come to Eve After Dark?
No, and no. Boogaloo Shrimp and what's the other brother's name? The past.
Alfonso Rivera. Not Alfonso Rivera. My apologies, brother. But let's just call him Ozone. We'll say Ozone for right now.